Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a logic puzzle that's, it's so simple to learn, but wow, it can be super tricky to master. So get ready, because we're about to untangle the rules of the loop puzzle.
So, let me just ask you, are you ready for your next puzzle obsession? Because I'm telling you, once you get how this works, it is seriously addictive. Okay, let's jump right in. At its core, this whole puzzle is about making one thing, a loop. So, what do we mean by a loop? Well, it's a continuous closed path. Just imagine you put your finger down on any point of the line you've drawn. If you can trace that entire line and end up right back where you started without ever lifting your finger, then hey, you've got yourself a loop. No loose ends allowed here. So, here's the main goal, the most important thing to remember. Your entire mission is to draw one single, unbroken loop on the grid. Just one. It all has to connect back to itself. No making 2 or 3 little separate loops. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, that's where the rules come into play. So let's start with the absolute basics. This first part is all about how you can actually draw your loop on the grid. The very first rule of drawing on this grid is to keep it straight. You can only draw horizontal and vertical lines to connect the dots. That means absolutely no diagonals, no slanted lines, no curvy little detours. We're working on a strict grid with only right angles. Okay, next up, let's talk about how the lines and dots work together. There are 3 big rules here. First, every line you draw has to connect 2 dots. Simple. Second, and this one is super important, any dot that your loop passes through has to have exactly 2 lines touching it. Think of it like a road. One line goes in and one line goes out. That's what keeps the path moving. And third, it is totally fine to leave some dots all by themselves. Not every single dot on the grid needs to be part of your final loop. All right, so we know how to draw the lines, but how in the world do we know where to draw them? Well, that brings us to the most important part of the puzzle. We're going to call it the golden rule, the secret of the numbers. Take a look at this, a 3. Now, this number sitting inside a little square of 4 dots, it's not just a suggestion, it's a clue. Actually, it's more like a command, telling you exactly what has to happen in the space it's in.
And this right here shows you the main mechanic. The number you see inside a square tells you exactly how many of its 4 sides have to be part of your loop. So if you see a 0, that means that square has 0 lines around it. A 1 means exactly one of its sides is part of the loop. A 2 means 2 sides, and like we just saw, a 3 demands that you draw lines on 3 of its 4 sides. This is the logic engine that makes the whole puzzle go. Okay, so we know what to do when there's a number clue. But what about all those empty squares you're going to see on the grid? Well, this is where things get a little more flexible. Let's talk about the wild card. The rule for squares with no numbers is pretty much all about freedom. The source material says it perfectly. If there is no number, we can make any number of line segments from 0, 1, 2, or 3. So what that means is you can use as many or as few sides of an empty square as you need to make your one big loop work. These are like the versatile puzzle pieces that help you connect everything together. We've covered a lot of ground really fast, so before we wrap this up, let's pull all of that information together into your official puzzle-solving toolkit with a quick final recap. Here it is, everything you need to know. Remember, you're drawing one single continuous loop. Only use horizontal and vertical lines. Keep it straight. Every dot that's part of your loop must have exactly 2 lines connected to it. The number inside a square tells you precisely how many of its sides are part of that loop. And finally, those empty squares are your wildcards. They can have 0, 1, 2, or 3 lines. That's it. Those are all the rules. So there you have it. You have all the knowledge you need, you understand the main goal, you know the restrictions, and you know how to read the clues. So there's only one question left to ask. Now that you know the rules, can you solve the puzzle?